A lot on the line here, Tally. A lot on the line. As it stands right now, I'm sure we're both aligned and thinking this is a battle for second place, but as the weeks get on and on and on, they'll be keeping their eyes on the prize.
Yeah, this is absolutely the battle for second place in the sense that we're looking for, our second best team behind Ground Zero right now, but also in the standings, because whoever takes away this win will be sitting in second, isolated by themselves, because they are, very close in terms of points. So have to see what, it looks like as this game, commences. I'm very curious to see if Antic feel pressured to be a bit more aggressive in the early game because they don't have the same late game threat that Bliss does. When you look at the Bliss comp, even though Mordekaiser is a carry, also it functions as a tank, and we all know that as the late game comes along, carries just outscale naturally. Tanks just don't have the same threat in the late game part because it's just much easier to avoid a lot of the damage they do, and Bio will be able to create a lot of space, especially with the Shadow Realm and making sure he's removing a crucial member from the Antic roster.
Yeah, it's going to be so crucial, right, to try and find those moments in which you can really get the lead. And as you mentioned, right, a single AD carry in that of Raze could hurt them. Certainly could hurt them if Foreigner doesn't get a lead and the Viego falls behind. You talk about Hui having the high highs and the low lows. Viego absolutely falls into that same basket as well. Well, let's see then, as both junglers will be starting on the top half of the map, pathing seemingly towards the bottom end to maybe poke their heads into bot lane. You see just how aggressive Draco is that Violet has called upon Aladoric. Please help me walk into this lane. And I'm actually curious about how aggressive this matchup will be, if we'll get any straight 2v2s, or if very early on these supports will be unleashed to roam elsewhere. Yeah,
I was actually curious to hear that Draco said that, the Violet-Doric bot lane is the, aggressive bot lane, because, when we think in these weeks past, it's always been Draco finding the first bloods, always just constantly landing these hooks in lane, trading to pretty much lethal ranges, and just always eking out these first bloods for his team. So I always considered Draco, especially on the Nor list, to be a very aggressive player and someone who always finds these first bloods.
Let's see then, true to their statistics, that they can keep up that 100% rate as a team of always finding that kill and making sure that they drive the momentum for this early half of the match. You can already see, speak of his name, he's already very close to their turret, only at level 2, forcing them to pay respect. So right off the gate, it's a case of making sure that we get Raze in a comfortable position, drag in Aladoric and force him to burn the summoner heal.
Yeah, just really nice training coming out of the Antic bot lane, really abusing the fact that they were on the way first, and Jinx is just much better at pushing these creeps early, especially with the, the rocket. But I have to touch on mid lane and say that, this is very illegal, Skimmy. You can't play Corgi if it's an auto-attack Corgi. You always got to go for the Earth Rider and really utilize the crit animation he has. Corgi is all about that, throwing your rockets and the AP Corgi build. He's just, I think Harry's doing a bit of a forbidden right now.
So what you're saying is, whilst Antic are behind on the meta, Harry is behind on the skin meta, so they're just losing on two separate fronts.
Yeah, just absolutely just out of the ballpark right now when it comes to, the correct skin meta. Matching skins is very underrated. Like, I always liked to, in the past, make sure that we always had the same color scheme, just so the enemy team sees us and they're like, oh, they're a bit, a bit too connected for us right now. I feel a bit nervous to do plays in the early game, so...
They've got their uniform on. They've got their battle armor in game. They're ready. They're locked in. They've got like the the white and pink synergy with their own uniform outside of the game. As once again Draco goes in, nice body block on the zap there from Aladoric to prevent Violet from taking any extra damage. But he does still have the green and red, so has the range, has the lifesteal, and can at least answer back. Speak of though is a bit of answering back in the top lane here as Biped gets on the aggressive. Zoris is on the receiving end as the smash comes down, the flash to lock him in place. And then a nice little assist as Kevy gets amongst it, so first blood goes their way. Meanwhile, bot side, Raze answers back, and he gets a kill of his own onto Aladoric.
Yeah, very, very nice flash by Bio. I have to see how Aladoric did go down. He just had to hold the flash, so not something that he feels like he needs to really blow there. Violet will be able to pick up the wave, and as he does cycle those guns, get towards the blue-purple, he's going to be feeling much more comfortable in lane. Starting off with the green-red, you don't have any pressure in the lane, and your damage is non-existent, so it's really easy to abuse a Theos in the early levels. And really nice trading coming out of Harry.
That really does hurt. That's the benefit then of the phosphorus bomb being maxed as opposed to that Gatling gun. If you're in that range, yeah, you take a sizable chunk, and you can imagine Hui is certainly one that can be very annoying with all their range, but right now is having to really take things, very much face value.
Yeah, and you're going to have to be very scared of this Corgi if you're Antic, because, Harry is going to have such an easy time in this matchup to be able to scale. Already has his Merc Tropes, which means it's so hard for him to get ganked. The CC sticking from Foreigner, it's just going to be non-existent. So he's going to be able to scale up in this lane, get his Triforce as soon as possible, and really come online.
What a net by Zorinus. Good little bit of a read, as there's some tendencies there to cancel out the recall that Biopanther was doing. Just delaying it just a fraction at this stage, but Much like Harry, rushing towards some of that mitigation with those Merc trades. He's going to rush and get those tabbies as quickly as can to make sure that he still does have that favorable time in towards Zoranus. Valkyrie very aggressively, and with the Gatling gun charged up as well, nothing goes his way, but then Curcio is, he's in pain.
Yeah, and we get to see the replay here of how Aladoric fell down in the early game. Foreigner is already hovering, and it's just a very easy CC chain coming out directly with the chompers. Can't move, you know, unfortunate for him, but Violet still picks up all the CS that crashing his turret. That's the main thing. Even though this lane looks, you know, so one-sided right now in the early game, Violet is still managing to keep up in CS, and that's all that really matters for this side.
And the biggest tragedy for me, above all else, is the fact that Foreigner has to burn a flash just to make sure that his time spent there was worthwhile. I did get an assist. This wasn't a waste of time, and I won't get punished from them ganking me elsewhere. Speak of the two junglers, they are in the middle right now. There's the Spiraling Despair, the flash away so Kevy doesn't get ganked upon by Foreigner. And with Draku hot on his heels as well, he could have been in a lot of trouble if he hadn't burned that flash.
Yeah, a bit overeager from Kevy. He's trying to force priority with Harry to be able to walk into the river and secure these grubs with the top lane priority. But Draku has the move from bot side already. We see Aladoric sitting in bot lane still. So if this is something Antic want to start up with a numbers advantage, even though we see Draku going back to bot side, they have to really respect the fact that BioPanther can take one member out of this skirmish.
Well, here becomes a bit of an awkward standoff. It's a case of these two top laners not even wanting to pay attention to the top lane. So they say, let's have a look at these grubs. Foreigner has no flash. And Kevy just burned it prior, but doesn't even need it to keep the uptime for that kill. Bio's going to be a very happy man sitting at 2-0. And now Harry says this lane was already free, even more so now with a solo kill with his name. And if we talk about early game advantages, Bliss really have it their way.
Yeah, they're just doing such a good job to, you know, eke out these little advantages in their 1v1s. You see Kevy abusing the fact that he's a much stronger champ in the early game compared to the Viego, and he finds his 1v1. He finds Foreigner without flash in the river, and BioPanther collapsing already with the tier 2 roots means he's there before Zoranus, and it's just so easy for them to, you know, find these early game advantages thanks to the base strengths of their champions.
Yeah, quicker to respond, quicker to act, and overall stronger with their presence. And yeah, this does definitely put a bit of a dampener onto some of the strengths that Antic have found in the past. I'm curious as to what it means in terms of these objectives, because whilst Bliss get all three of those grubs, the Dragon really has been a case of forget about it. I mean, bot lane has been left in isolation. The fights really have been around mid and top, and it does certainly feel to be that, you know, Dragon is very irrelevant at this stage.
Yeah, I think Bliss doesn't necessarily care about the Dragon. They do have the winning side lane, so, you know, they're not really forced to group. They aren't too worried about the scaling. Whereas on the other hand, Antic probably need to put a lot of priority onto this Dragon and make sure that they have this, you know, ability to force Bliss to group up and burst them in the 5v5 and make sure that they aren't, you know, constantly being forced to side lanes and, you know, just put on the back foot when it comes to scaling.
Let's see then how they look to try and navigate things, because already 8 minutes in, they're down by 1,000 gold. Not the end of the world by the end, by any means, but certainly enough to generate a bit of a snowball effect, as they will finally pay attention to the Dragon and say, let's see what we can find. Aladoric out of sight, out of mind, so that means that Antic had the confidence to try and step up for this one. Very patient is Aladoric. The chompers go out, but too little too late, because he's hit the flash and the quickness, charmed up everybody that he can find, and force him to hit the panic flash to safety. Draku trying to body block, trying to protect his AD carry as best he can, but it's just too much damage coming out, Tally.
Yeah, and that was just the, you know, Harry rotates first, he's on the fight. In Curcio, he's flanking on the control mage. He can't really do anything there. You know, throws out the ult, misses completely, can't find any damage that he really needs to, and it's just a really nice engage from Aladoric. Finds the split up members of Antic, and they really execute on this, you know, being at first of the objective.
Yeah, never really showed too many signs of interest towards that Dragon. It really was the case of force them to group up, bait them that we're going for this objective, and we can turn it around with the amount of strength we have right now. It'll be nigh impossible for them to eke out any kind of advantage. So that 1k lead is very quick to become 2, and already talking about how strong the mid lane is, it's starting to be felt all over the map now.
Yeah, so we see as soon as the invisibility drops, Aladoric goes for the engagement, which is really nice follow-up from the rest of his team, but look at him Curcio, he's flanking as a control mage, he can't really do anything. Can't rotate all the way around because he won't make it on time, so he's forced to go through the river, and he just gets zoned off by the, you know, Ocean Dragon. And it's very underrated how much that slows you down when you start getting auto attacks, so it's just very hard to get into that fight for him.
Yeah, incredibly awkward, and yeah, again, Team Bliss, especially the solo laners, are bullying and showing just how strong they are. Whilst there's not the biggest CS difference between that of the Skarner and the Mordekaiser, those two kills have certainly allowed Bio to be a bit of a weapon this early on. We're talking about, you know, the true power, the true potential of this pick being to isolate a key member, a key Fed member at that once these big fights occur. But the Realm of Death simply hasn't needed to be called upon yet.
Yeah. Don't really expect much action to happen in the 1v1 when it comes to top lane. It's going to be a lot about, you know, Bayer will win out on these trades but lose in the priority because of how Skarner pushes so well as he trades, but he will scale up and eventually be able to just completely take over this game if he wants to. One saving grace for Antic right now is Raze has picked up the Kraken, so you know he does have his first item. They will have a bit more damage in the bot lane in terms of raw DPS, but Violet has access to the, you know, tier 2 boots, which means it's just very hard to find these engages onto him.
Oh, it's just so brutal though. Every single time we pan into mid lane and Cursor is just copying all the damage, you're thinking if that is old AP Corky, you're probably dead right there. And the skin, you'd be a happy man, but that's not what we have right now. He's 2 of the 3 ways towards getting that Trinity Force online. This early on, certainly going to be feeling very, very comfortable about that factor. Right on cue, they say, there's the Scuttle Crab. Let's pick up all 6 Void Grubs as well and make sure that if we can get another solo kill, these towers cease to exist.
Yeah, Bliss are getting everything on the map right now. They got the Dragon, they got the Crab, they're going to get the Grubs as well. There's going to be no contest coming out of Antic or a trade because it's just very hard to die this bot lane right now. There's just a lot of control coming out of the, you know, the Violet Aldoric in terms of controlling their wave. So it's a really nice job from them. We get to see Perry TP back into lane. Doesn't pick up the Triforce though, so I'm not sure whether he didn't have enough gold or he just, you know, wasn't able to buy it in time before the TP went off. But Cursor doing much better playing his range and really playing around the Valkyrie, because once that is used, Harry doesn't have much straight onto him.
Well, absolutely, and it feels like a lot of the issue is the fact that he can't actually push the wave as quickly as does Corky, so he's always under threat, defending underneath this tower, trying to focus on the CS rather than in the poke department. What it feels like it's in a neutral state, certainly can showcase that, you know, even if I am a control mage and scaling with this tier already halfway done, I do pack a bit of a punch if, you know, if the stars do align. I suppose the quiet part has been the fact that we were concerned as for, you know, the Hui and the Foreigner, Hui and the Viego rather, in combination, because they can certainly really excel and pop off, but if they're behind, it becomes a bit of a dicey situation of like, are they a glorified support?
I wouldn't really say this duo functions too well together. It's just all about you getting into the team fights, because you get to see the Viego when playing against these, you know, dive champs in the Rakan, the Xin, and even the Mordekaiser. When you do find the reset on one of these champions, you can really take over a fight. Hui always going to be able to, you know, function very well, very safe scaling control mage who's going to do damage in these team fights, especially because there's going to be so much, you know, grouped up members from both sides and just the ability to put out a lot of AoE damage and create these, you know, mini rumble ults with the fissure to allow Raze to do as much damage as possible.
You mentioned already very early on that he was the first one to get that mythic item complete, circumventing the need to get any kind of mobility. Just get that Kraken Slayer online as quickly as you can and weave it in really nicely then with the toggling between the minigun and that rocket launcher. Now they get up to a little bit of cheeky shenanigans themselves. Out of the bush, they look at Elodoric. There's the passive from Northwest, the auto, but there is the Chompers. The barrier comes out preemptively. The flash away to disengage. Double flash in the bot lane here. Draku turns it around. The depth charge hits all 3 members. And the rocket, unfortunately, Team Bliss did not juke into that alcove.
Draku really saved them from a very dire situation, but almost another solo kill picked up the Harry there. Very close, but if we do get to see the replay, you get to really see how Draku does such a good job at disengaging Aldoric there. You know, he hooks the initial engage onto Raze as he flashes out to make sure he can't follow up and kill his AD carry, and then also flashes out himself perfectly to dodge the Grand Entrance, which means that he also doesn't fall down. Unfortunately, they were unable to find the kill onto Kevi at the end here. As we do go into the replay, we can really see how well Draku plays this initially. Both junglers are coming down. It's a really good initial damage output by Violet, but once again, Draku does such a good job disengaging Aldoric, and Kevi is in such a bad spot here, especially with the Play the Room thing coming out of the Foreigner, but unfortunately they're unable to find that kill onto him, and it's just a trade of flashes at the end.
Yeah, slowing it down, it looks so nice as you highlight. So good awareness there from Draku to make sure that it wasn't going to be a losing affair. But unfortunately, Zoranis, he can hit the 2-man impale, but as that expires, so does his life in this top lane, unfortunately. Been a very rough one for him. Same can be said here for Incursio too, who might just simply die. One more auto will do it. Harry will flash for it and says, you can't answer back. I've got the Triforce complete now. And these solo lanes for Bliss are a massive issue.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very bad situation for Antic. You know, both side laners are going to be absolute monsters going into the mid game, and Harry is so online. You know, he was already picking up kills with only having the Merc Chase, and he already has his Triforce completed as long as he's tier 2 boost. Already at the 14-minute mark, you know, he's going to build up. We've seen a lot of different iterations of the Corki build. You know, we've seen the Manamune come out as a popular choice for the Corki, but you know, if he does want to go for the Triforce, he absolutely can. Kevi does not have flash here though.
Oh, good steal there from Foreigner with the rocket from downtown. Combine that with that one on top of things. It's actually quite nice. 1v1 taking place in the Death Realm as Biopanther tries to bring the pain towards Viego. is unable to find that Heartbreak to try and get any kind of reset. Zominus though wants to try and find revenge. He looks towards Kevy, who goes for the 3-point strike, locks in place in Cursor, and says, okay,
no,
you're all just going to die. And BioPanther becomes Bio Daddy because he's 5-0-1. They look towards Raze and says, you can't escape me. I am the Rakan god. And it's just textbook. It's beautiful from Bliss.
We saw every member from Antic trying their best to kill Kevy, but he is just cycling the item. He's getting the healing off on different members and making sure that he doesn't go down. And in the end, he lives. There is no trade. There's no consultation prize for the Antic lineup. And it's just a lot of gold and experience going over to Bliss.
And it certainly is. Let's run it back with the replay once again, because it's actually such a great job from Foreigner to steal away this Herald, but that's the only W they find.
Yeah, and this is the strength of the Mordekaiser. We saw Foreigner is going to be able to do so much damage to Kevy in the 1v1 with the Blade of the Ruined King. But BioPanther rocks up and says, hell nah, throws him in the Shadow Realm, takes him out easily in the 1v1, and Kevy is just doing such a good job as curting around, trying to buy as much time as possible, you know, heal up, make sure he doesn't fall down, and unfortunately there's no trade going to the Bliss side. And with Aldoric, you know, rotating up, still having that flash, Raze is lights out for him.
Yeah, really cleanly done on the tail end of this fight for Aldoric to pick up yet another one where it feels like the fight has fizzled out. But as you mentioned with Kevy, using that Sundered Sky quite well, actually, as he jumps around. Feels like me on like an ARAM game with the Hearts, just tagging up all the different members. You see the proc, you feel satisfied. You're like, yeah, I can die now. You know, I've got all my value from this item. Job well done. Either way, though, I will say a 9-0 combined solo lane score is, yeah, pretty terrifying. It is a very one-sided affair very quickly here, Tally.
Yeah, it is a very one-sided affair. And I gotta say, the Sundered Sky is a very, it's a dopamine item, you know. It's so nice getting all those heals off in these team fights, especially on champs like the Aatrox, like the, you know, Xin Zhao, these melee bruisers. So it was a nice iteration to really change up how you can do a bit more as these fighters in team fights and not just be the zug and just only hit, you know, the one target. You have to change your target sometimes to maximize your sustain.
Yeah, a little bit of that cheeky min-maxing. We certainly don't mind that from time and time again. For the members of Bliss in the top 4 of the overall gold, there is no denying they are the team in the lead right now. Incredibly strong. And yeah, you're concerned as to how Antic can try and really grasp a foothold back into this one. Yes, they've got the tools to try and excel in these team fights, but it's whether or not Bliss allow them to. I mean, the first time they got given that invitation, it was at the Dragon, and Aldoric turned it around with that Rakan. With the Baron not even being up and available, you're really wondering, okay, how do Antic first of all function in these side lanes, and how do they ever contest for these major objectives?
Oh, and this is how they do it.
Well, this is what they do. I suppose, yeah, they just simply find a pick. The flash is not available, so Aldoric is just dead. They look for a second one. As Toronto does become the Rakan, they will get the shot, then they'll take down Violet of all people, and that goes into the waiting hands of Raze. Another hook goes out. Kevy falls too. And look, it may once again be a case of caster curse. You say, what could happen? Well, there it is.
3-0 in a 4v5, Skivvy. That is unbelievable for the amount of gold lead and experience that is on the Bliss side or in favor of them right now. So really good job by them. Are they going to go for the re-engage on the buy? He still has access to the Death Realm, so this might be lights out for Foreigner.
Would they dare look for even more right now? Yes, he is on towards Foreigner in that 1v1, but he just searches the edge around, looking to try and find Harry. It's not to be the case. Shelly jumps in. Look at Zominus going for a drive-by, picks up the chicken nugget menu meal and says, I'm very happy, I'm very full. He's still alive, but finally, down goes BioPanther. Such a massive shutdown. Both of these, all of these shutdowns have gone to Raze, and I am terrified when the perfect play gets all the gold.
And I was going to mention, Skivvy, you know, you're talking back then, how does Antic get back into the game? How do they win? It's Raze. It's always Raze. It's always, you know, getting the gold onto this, you know, player who can excel in such, you know, critical scenarios. And this is so well played by Foreigner, locking up Aldoric, putting him on the turret, making sure that Foreigner gets the reset. And I talked about how strong this Diego is when he does find the resets. You know, Violet falls down and he blows Flash. Foreigner recognizes, oh, I'm a squishy champion now. I can't be in the middle of the team anymore. I need to get out again. He's just, you know, navigating this team fight so well as the Viego. And so much gold has gone to Raze, and we see 2 rounds completed for the Jinx already.
Just out of the gates, he says, all right, well, I'm back in the game. I'm an absolute weapon. Before was so far down. I think it was sitting in 5th for overall gold, the only member from Antic in that top 5 conversation, and no doubt now going to be sitting in a much more comfortable position to say, all right, Violet, you were quite strong, but let me see what I can do now. If it's going to be a late game Fiesta, let's just see how strong we are when it comes to those mechanics. There you go, from 5th to 1st, and the only member of Antic that stands a chance of doing the damage.
Yeah, a bit of a Bitcoin Jinx build coming out here. Shoots up the total gold to be the leader for the game right now, but I don't really think the game state has necessarily changed too much, Skimmy. I think that Bliss still wins out on the side lanes really hard, and they have the tools in the Rakan and the Mordekaiser to be able to remove Raze from the game if that is crucial. The one, saving grace for them right now is Raze still has access to the flash. So if we see another misplay or a bit of an overstep in this next team fight or skirmish, Raze can overtake this game completely.
They certainly can. As you mentioned, all these crucial flashes are down. Bios has just come back up and available. Alidoric about to be the same as well. Those trigger switches certainly could be the difference maker that Team Bliss was sorely lacking in that skirmish before. No doubt a bit of a confidence hit to lose with that much of a lead in a 4v5, no less. But they still do control the map. They still do have all 3 turrets, whilst Antic have yet to find anything. Hence why they are constantly locked in these lanes whilst Team Bliss lurk off into the shadows and wait for the face check.
Yeah, I don't expect Bliss to want to start the Baron. I think that committing to the pit is very bad for your comp, especially with the amount of AoE coming out of Antic. I think they're just going to reset, play for the Dragon, play that slower scaling game, because they are always getting more gold. They always have side lanes pushed out. They can steal away camps while those waves are pushed out. And, if Antic do want to group up on the mid wave and play for it to contest onto these objectives, that's when the collapse from the side lanes, all these TP flanks, will really be impactful for Bliss.
Well, let's see then. Bliss having been already in a position that you saw Alidoric, maybe a bit of a sore point. I'm sure you can understand why. It would feel pretty bad to have such a strong lead in their series up against Ground Zero and then just to really throw it all away.
Not again.
No doubt do not want to repeat that in back-to-back weeks against their toughest competition in the league. Let's see if Raze is the focus. An AD carry in mid lane. We've seen this story before. Instant flash out of that one. The chompers will not land. And a gentleman's handshake between 2 star players. Yeah, even though they don't find the kill on the Raze, his flash is down now for the next 5 minutes. He is so vulnerable to so many members from Bliss. If Bai wants to flash hold him, he's dead. If Kevin wants to flash on him with the knock-up as his 3rd auto, he's dead. It's very hard for Raze to navigate these teamfights going forward without the flash. And I'm not sure Antic want to contest these objectives coming up. Let's see what he actually itemizes for then with the Zeal, whether or not it'll be the Runans for the extra AoE. If he wants the rapid fire cannon to try and give him that extra range to function in these fights, especially without that flash being up and available. Thankfully, Antic are able to find their very first objective bounty in this game. 1 turret as they take it in the top lane, thanks to Incursio. But they're not going to look to, contest Bliss from the Dragon, at least until that potential soul point in 5 minutes.
What is that, Timmy? Is it a giant cupcake? What is the Jinx ult in this skin?
Well, good question. It is a very good question. It's a rocket of some sorts, maybe in a parallel universe.
It's a rocket fuel cupcake or something. I don't know. It does way too much damage though. That's all I know about Jinx ult. Hasn't been fair for a very long time, and that's why we see so many objective steals coming out of Jinx, and that's why so many players feel so confident, just throwing that towards the objectives, as it is such a low cooldown, and it's already 75%, off cooldown already. So it's just such a nice tool to be able to throw it on the map and just, find, the ability to stop resets or even, steal objectives.
I just remember when we had the Jinx Aphelios meta run supreme for such a long time. It was like, they're going to start with the Baron, and it's been stolen. And it's just like, it was a known quantity. You just expected nothing less by that point. So let's see if that happens again. Face check goes up. They've missed the hook. They've missed the chompers. They've missed everything. And Team Bliss really got away with one that time.
That was it, Skimmy. That was Antics. They waited so long. They were playing so patiently. They finally found their one window. But the hook goes wide. If that did land, that would have been Harry going down. It would have been a very different looking game.
Certainly would have been. The 5-1 carry still incredibly strong, but to make him 5-2, he puts you in a much more comfortable position. Flash once again being burnt away as Biopamper was hunting for a target to lock inside that realm. Not to be found today though, as we all group up in mid one more time and say the next objective is Baron. Who's going to go for it? Yeah, and we're just seeing the classic dance around mid-wave, but Team Bliss has the vision control. If Alidoric wants to get on the flank, he wants to engage onto his members, he absolutely can. Nice buffer there from Draku, the hook to get in. Harry safe that they baited in the members. Where's Harry going? Dragged back! And the Impale is fantastic, and yet again Raze picks up the kill. Now he's 5-1, and really is trying to say, team, give me the space and I will deliver. I'm not sure what he was seeing, Skimmy, but we see him Valkyrie forward into multiple members. We see more CC going down. Bio might fall down if he doesn't commit the flash or the ult, so we see him committing the flash. Once again, Jinx able to play outside the Death Realm range, and it means that if Bio wants again to be has to flash, and losing that summoner right there is going to mean these teamfights are so much harder for him. Don't say it happens again though, Tally. It can't happen in back-to-back weeks, but they get such a strong start just to lose it all again. And that's not to detract away from the resilience of Antic to you know, tooth and nail fight their way back into this matchup despite being down so much gold. They've done such a great job to be only, what, 3,000 behind at the 25-minute mark, and with still another couple of minutes before they really have to fight. It could actually be a perfect sequence with flashes coming up and available and them contesting for that soul point.
Well, we all know about the Bliss, you know, throw in last week against Ground Zero, but I think that was a lot to do with their comp and the fact that they couldn't function in these team fights. But with the comp they currently have now, it is so easy for them to team fight and scale, so they should still feel comfortable. The game state is, you know, even now. It's not one-sided anymore. It isn't just Bliss will win this game no matter what. It's going to be, you know, a much more pretty, but with the scaling, it's still going to be in Bliss's favor, you know, with the double 80 carries, with the Mordekaiser, when the Zhonya starts to come through, when these are, you know, major items come through for the 80 carries of Bliss, I think they're going to be able to start really taking over the game and, you know, start pressuring this Baron, especially with 2 to 3 members.
I mean, as you say, Bio still is an incredibly scary prospect, right? With the Rift Maker for that true damage, for that Omni Vamp. He's got the stickiness with the Rocket Belt, and he's got the Rylai's to slow you down, so you really cannot ever escape his grasp. Speak of him, he's on the flank. The mid-tier 1 finally falls on down. TP comes in here from Incursio, and the Realm is being ready. It's waiting. It's looking for a key target. Who does he decide to go for? It looks like he's locked in place Dragku in a 1v1 of all things as the hook goes out. Puts himself flat bang in the middle of the lane. As they come out of that one, Alador says, it's my time to shine. The Grand Entrance finds nothing. The quickness gets no charm. And everybody runs except for Kevy. The beautiful flash. And the win becomes lightning to lock in place Zoranis.
Yeah, and that's a top laner going down from Antic. I think that they still feel comfortable to contest this. There are no major turn tools for the Bliss roster, and if they do overcommit to this Baron pit, Raze can really take over this fight.
Right now has done the most damage in this, you know, skirmish that's been taking place. Let's see if he looks to try and find any more. The Hex Gates go out. Zoranis is looking, well, Zoranis has been looking on as the rest of the team is fighting for him. Foreigner across the wall, the Heartbreak inside the pit, down at 2,500. It's not close enough to smite range. He's bit the bullet a little bit too early. Yes, Raze found another kill. At least 2 Baron buffs have been denied. Yeah, so Raze does find the reset, but he has no mana, so he can't sit in the, you know, rocket form, has to go to minigun, which means he has to run into the turret setup of Violet, and we all know how detrimental that can be and how much damage the Philios can still output. He is matching, you know, the Jinx when it comes to the DPS output, so, you know, even though Raze is so strong right now, Violet is having a bit of a sleepy game. He is still extremely strong, he is still online, and we see that a lot of Dragon priority coming out of Bliss right now because this is Soul Point. This is the one you really want to fight for. Flashes are up and available. Raze has it, Violet has it, Harry as well as Incursio. Playmaking potential is up for grabs. Zoranis will return with a flash of his own, but a deep TP as well as the Hex Gates across the wall cause a little bit of confusion. Aladoric on the wraparound. Look at that for a flash pounce. Raze, you're the focus, and you will be going down first. Massive shutdown to kickstart the fight in a Bliss favourable scenario. Another flash across the longest wall in the game. But does that give Incursio enough space to escape? I don't think so, Tally. Unfortunately for them, 4 members fall for nothing.
And that's the classic Aladoric flank. You know, Antic saw him take the Hex gank and go for that flank, but, you know, Raze oversteps, a bit too aggressive, a bit too comfortable with having double summoners up. But it just wasn't enough. You know, Harry flashes over the wall because he knows if they take down Raze, they win this game. You know, going into the replay, we see Aladoric go for the flank. Raze oversteps just a bit too much, playing too aggressive, takes a lot of damage. The flash engage comes through, and we see Harry flash over the wall, take out the crucial member of Raze. And once Raze is dead, there really is no threat from this anti-roster.
Much harder at that point, right? Obviously, Incursio is doing a lot of damage, but it's AoE pad more than anything at this stage. Nothing to secure those killing blows. And yeah, the 2 carries get isolated, they get locked down, and they get taken out in a heartbeat. Absolute frustration for Antic, but jubilation on the Bliss side because they're back in the driving seat as if they never lost it in the first place. Up now by 10k. They've got a Baron, they've got all 4 dragons, and they've got the combat power to do really anything they like. 6 Void Grubs on towards the Nexus. Members are down for 40 seconds, and they're steaming straight towards the end.
Yeah, and I'm going to confidently say this is going to be lights out for Antic Skimmy. I think this is way too easy for them to end right now. Don't have the same wave clear against these Baron creeps that you normally do. We see the suppression coming out, but I'm not sure it's enough, Skimmy.
Yeah, it looks nice, but there's no damage to follow things up, so Zoranis can hit the 3-man impale, but it's not going to stop them from falling down in game number 1 in this series. Bliss back to winning ways as they take that Antic in just shy of 30 minutes.
Yeah, it took them a while to really close out this game. I think that based on the lead they had, this should have been a much cleaner performance. But once again, Aladoric comes in clutch, finds that crucial engage on the crucial team fight, and they close out the very first game for them.
Maybe a little bit of those nerves, the jitters, the sort of self-belief of doubt. Is it going to happen again? That's all been diminished. He's being pushed on the back burner. Going to be pretty happy about that. They got to showcase a brand new pick in the Mordekaiser. It worked. It certainly did do a fair amount of damage, not only in the laning phase, but for when they grouped up and found out key members. But it was never actually to a point where it was like, let's isolate out Raze and win the fight thereafter. Rakana Doric, as you say, hit the nail on the head, got the job